Hey, good Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. We were actually just on Instagram and TikTok Live, and I realized that today is hump day, halfway through the week. So congratulations, you've made it. You just have 2.5 more days left. Well, hopefully we can help to get you through those last 2.5 days with some weather information. We do have a risk of severe storms tonight, okay? So this won't be during the day. This will be more of an overnight event. We have 2 rounds that we're expecting here. One just right around or after dark, and then the second early tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. The other big story that's impacting a lot of people here is that winter weather that stretches anywhere from Oklahoma and Kansas all the way off to the East Coast, and then temperatures above average, rebounding just a little bit as we head into the end of the work week. This weekend looks nice, and then cooling back down early next week, so enjoy the nice weather while you can. Alrighty, the Raising Hail Tour, we kicked off yesterday out in Edmond. Thanks to everyone who showed up yesterday. It was a huge success. We were so glad that everyone got to network and hear Derek's forecast, the 2025 hail forecast for the first time. That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow we're in Denton, and then we go to Chicago next week. So if you want to get tickets to Chicago, Denton, Denver, Orlando, or Omaha, head over to raising-hail-tour.com. Use my code RHTTaylor10, RHTTaylor10 for $10 off of your ticket. Now your ticket gets you lunch. The lunch yesterday was really good. It also gets you a free t-shirt. It looks similar to this one. It's not this one, but it looks pretty similar. And then you get to network and hear the phenomenal forecast that Derek has. Yesterday, we also gave away a Yeti cooler, which we're going to do again in Denver, Denton, Omaha, Orlando as well, and Chicago. All of our cities will get a free cooler. So that's a giveaway that we'll be doing at the event. All right, let's get back to your forecast here. You can see out in California, especially on the northern side of the state, we still have that atmospheric river coming in. It's prolonged atmospheric river is what we're calling this. So lots of moisture in this area. You've got some more winter weather up in the upper elevations, and then some flooding and some high wind in the lower elevations. Now the high wind still going to be an issue, but at least it's not that fire danger. We're going to continue to see a lot of the snow tracking off to the east here into some of our more central locations like North and South Dakota, and even into the Midwest. Now do you see this very light green area here? It's almost hard to see on the radar here. What we're watching for here is some light drizzle across Kansas, Missouri, Midwest, all the way up to the northeast. That could bring some snow, freezing rain, sleet. That could cause some pretty decent ice accumulation on the roads and the power lines. You could see some power outages out of this. And you can see the exact areas that we're watching for warmer and cooler weather. I mean, take a look at this. So much colder right here. I mean, it's like a microclimate right here across central Kansas, really because of that drizzle that just, if those clouds won't move away, you can't get colder, and then that drizzle is going to make it feel even colder in this area. You can see that we've got some colder temperatures off to the east as well, and then of course warmer down to the south. So Oklahoma City kind of sitting right in the middle of that. If you head down to Dallas, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable today. We'll be in Denton tomorrow. I'm glad those temperatures will be warming up just a little bit. I'm going to grab a drink of water, and then we'll talk about what we're expecting in terms of showers and storms over the next 24 hours. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry, I guess I've been talking too much here lately. That's what happens, right? I was talking yesterday at the Raising Hail Tour, talking a lot today. I need to go on like voice rest or something. We've got a few showers just off the west coast here that are going into Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. And then there you go, there's some light rain that stretches from Kansas City all the way down to this low pressure system. Temperatures here in Oklahoma City, holy moly, 38 yesterday. We thought we were going to be in the 60s. What happened? As I mentioned, it's that cloud cover that's sitting right on top of us. It's stunting our temperatures, if anything, making us feel even colder than what we were feeling a few hours ago. But you go down to the south, and you've got the 50s, feeling a lot more comfortable in Dallas today, and even some would say warm in Houston. There's that winter weather that if you looked at it earlier, it stretched into the panhandle. And if you took a line from the panhandle all the way out to the East Coast, you were hitting over 1,500 miles of winter weather alerts, consecutive miles of winter weather alerts here. Now what we're watching for here is the northeastern side of Kansas, all the way through the Midwest and out to the East Coast, our New England states. We'll take you out to the west first, then we'll head back farther to the east. We have a winter storm warning highlighted here in pink, a winter weather advisory in purple. That goes until noon today, but some going all the way through tomorrow. We are also watching for a fire concern out in the western side of Texas and the eastern side of New Mexico, southern side of Colorado, also seeing some of those high winds as gusty as 45 miles an hour. So if a fire pops up, it's going to spread very quickly in this area. Also watching for some high winds into Wyoming. And then, of course, there's your winter weather alerts. We have a winter weather advisory. That's what you see for everyone highlighted here in purple. Basically, what that means is that you're going to have some small impacts. It may not stop your day completely, but you have to be aware of those road conditions. Now, what's different here will be that ice storm warning highlighted here in purple. Ice accumulation, and we'll show you here in just a few minutes how much ice accumulation we're expecting here, but it's enough that power outages are possible, or likely even, tree limbs down, definitely tricky travel on the roadways. Some will call it dangerous depending on where you are across the city there. So we're watching for that. We're also watching for another winter weather advisory farther up to the north, pretty typical for this time of the year, and this northern side of Minnesota. So let's break this down. I also talked about storms. What's going on? Winter weather, storms, a little bit of everything. You're going to see that breakdown. Do you see this area that changes over from green to pink? There's your winter weather. And then we head farther down to the south. You've got some really good moisture in this area. What you're going to be watching for here is later on this evening, between about 7 and 10 o'clock tonight, we're watching for some isolated storms to pop up. So most of these storms will be below that severe threshold. Some of them, however, will pulse up to be above the severe threshold, bringing a good chance for hail, especially as we get into the late night hours, as well as that high wind threat. Now, tomorrow morning, your threat is going to change from a hail, wind, tornado threat just to a wind threat. Okay? Hail, wind, tornado possible tonight, wind tomorrow. As we head into tomorrow, here you go. You can still see it's raining in this area. Early tomorrow morning, we've got all of that snow covering portions of Michigan, changing into ice the further south you go. But let's break down this hazard. I mentioned that hail threat tonight. So here we are, Wednesday night, right around or just after the sun goes down. So right around 7 o'clock is whenever I want you to be weather aware here. It's still a low chance for some smaller hail. I think that we'll be on just a little bit larger than the size of a quarter here, so maybe between that 1.25 and 1.5 zone. Still a low risk. Not everyone is going to get those really strong storms here, but a few people, I think that we could see a few severe thunderstorm warnings out of this. This will probably come in as after dinner time or as you're headed to bed. So if you go to bed around 9, 10 o'clock tonight, make sure that you have those weather alerts turned on. You could see some high wind out of this as well, so it may sound pretty loud outside. Make sure that things like your trampoline or maybe those potted plants out in front of your house are all tied down or pulled a little bit closer to the house so they're not blowing away out there. As I mentioned earlier, what are we watching for hail sizes here? In between a quarter and ping pong ball sized hail. I think that we could trend on the ping pong ball size today. So we're talking 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches for your biggest hailstone today. There's your severe risk. We're watching for that flooding risk and we're watching for the wind risk. So tornado risk, low. Large hail, low. I would say very low to low. High wind risk, that not only tonight but also into tomorrow morning is possible, and then that flooding risk as well. So we talk about your severe thunderstorm categories, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to be on the lower end, but it's still possible to get that severe thunderstorm warning. You need over 58 miles an hour for high wind speeds or a quarter-sized hail for a severe thunderstorm warning. Are we expecting anything higher than that? Not really. We're not expecting anything to be considerable here. I think there's an extremely low chance for this, and then we're not going to see this. Baseball-sized hail, not in our forecast for tonight. So make sure that you have those weather alerts in case anything pops up. We do have a tornado potential here. Now it's low, but it's on the board, so you have to take it seriously. It's a level 1 on a scale of 5, including Paris, Lexington, Nashville, all the way up to the southern side of Kentucky, highlighted here in green. Again, tonight between about 7 and 10 o'clock tonight. That'll be whenever we're watching for that tornado threat. Tomorrow morning, so Thursday morning now, high wind threat, 60 to 65 mile per hour wind speeds are possible from northern Tennessee all the way up to southern and central Kentucky. So that's really our sweet spot for severe storms here. You head farther back to the west, you've got that fire danger. So we showed you that red flag warning for the eastern side of New Mexico and the western side of Texas and Oklahoma, even southern Colorado included in this. Today it's an elevated to critical risk into New Mexico. Tomorrow still an elevated risk across New Mexico. So that's what we're watching for. We see maybe a little bit of improvement for Friday. But for today and tomorrow, refrain from any outdoor burning in this area of the country. You head farther out to the east, you got plenty of moisture, almost too much. You get those colder temperatures, you get that ice. We're going to be watching for some really, really good ice potential farther out to the east here. You got a really good soaking rain. It's going to feel really humid across the central to eastern portion of the U.S. over the next few days. There's your storms. However, I don't think that we're expecting anything severe on Thursday evening into Friday. Make sure that you come back for your forecast tomorrow to get an update on that because things can change really, really quickly around here. Alrighty, we've got some snow coming into the western side of the U.S. and then that rain, of course, stretching down California. What's going on here? Why do we see these changes so quickly? We thought today was going to be in the 60s, right? What's going on with these changes? Well, as the jet stream sits just right to the north of Oklahoma, if it can dip down a little bit, it can bring some colder temperatures. However, if it stays farther to the north, it's going to bring those warmer temperatures. So we may see those temperatures fluctuate a little bit. Feels like we're on a little bit of a roller coaster ride with the 80s on Sunday and then colder temperatures as we headed into Tuesday and now Wednesday. If we can get these little dips, we'll call them divots because they're not really big dips in the jet stream here. We can see those temperatures go up and down, but we're not going to see anything too extreme, especially in the central portion of the U.S. until next week. Look at this. There's your dip. Do you see that right here? We call this a trough. A dip in the jet stream that's going to bring some colder temperatures early next week across the central and northern portion of the U.S. So we're going to see below zero temperatures up to the north, and then we're going to be right around or below freezing as you head farther down to the south. Some people who will be exempt from some of the coldest of the temperatures will be out in the southeastern portion of the U.S. So thankfully we stay a little bit warmer out to the south and east. We're not going to see that snowstorm like we did a few weeks ago, historic snowstorm there. Most of the snow here is going to stay up to the north. So over the next 5 to 6 days, here's what we're talking about for snowfall totals. Mountainous regions for the most part. Maybe a little bit more snow right along the South and North Dakota line. Other than that, ice is going to be a really, really big topic of discussion over the next few days. As we head into early tomorrow morning, it's going to be a very tricky commute across Cleveland into Pennsylvania. This is where we had that ice storm warning for places like Washington and southern Pennsylvania. So you're not only worried about the colder weather, but that freezing rain that's going to freeze on impact to the ground, to the tree limbs, to the power lines, and that's where you're going to get those power outages across the southern portion of Pennsylvania into Maryland and Washington. So what we're watching for here, whenever we have sleet, oftentimes the sleet will bounce off of the tree limbs, bounce off of the power lines. It'll become more of a ground issue, more of a travel issue. But with freezing rain, it can freeze on contact to those power lines, to those tree limbs, creating more of a power outage issue. So make sure that you are taking your precautions as we head into the next 24 hours because there could be a chance that you don't have your power in these areas. Now taking a look at your future temperatures, we are expecting temperatures to warm up a little bit over the next 24 hours. I know we said we'd be in the 60s today. I think it's a little bit more promising tomorrow. Look at that, upper 70s down in Dallas. Waking up by Friday morning in the 40s, but Friday afternoon looks gorgeous. 70 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 70s widespread across the southeast. A little bit cooler up to the north, but do you see that dividing line? Do you see what we're talking about here? Whenever we have warm down to the south, cold up to the north, and that's all thanks to that jet stream here. Things could change as we head into early next week, so enjoy the weekend while you can because 60s on Saturday, gorgeous. We'll take it. Things start to change, however, as we head into Sunday and Monday. Did you see that burst of cold air that's starting to infiltrate farther down to the south, slowly but surely making its way farther down to the south? So it does look like as we head into next week, we're going to see those colder temperatures stick around at least through the second week, at least through next week of February. We're also kind of trending above average in terms of rainfall or snow as well across most of the U.S. Whenever we have moisture like this time of the year, just like what we're seeing in this forecast. When we have moisture like this, we could see snow,